Hi, my name is Delaney and I'm a science and health journalist, and I'm not a company. I'm a freelance, so I'm a person. So when I was sitting here, actually, no, cool jobs didn't even exist when I was here, so it's great that it is here. But if I was sitting there, journalism would have been the last thing I would have thought of doing. It was the last thing in my mind. I was either thinking of doing a PhD or going on to a career in industry. But journalism is a great career, and it's a great time to be a science journalist. There's a huge appetite for science news, either daily newspapers or weekly newspapers generally report on new research. I must say it is a tough industry to be in, but if you work hard at it, you can do well. So here's me back in 2006. I did a degree in science in Trinity and I specialised in genetics. And this is one of my favourite photos of me because I'm in a lab and it's the only one I have of me in a lab, so I can pretend I was a scientist. But I really loved working in a lab, and I was working for the summer in a lab here. And when I came to finish my career, when I came to finish my degree, I didn't really feel like the intensity of a PhD. So instead I applied for a career in industry, which also was intense, but anyway. So I applied for a professional graduate program in Abbott Laboratories. And I really enjoyed my job in Abbott. And I worked as a project kind of coordinator manager working on improvement projects. However, after around 3 years, I felt a bit lost and I thought that something was missing. And I realized that I really missed science. I missed the element of discovery and new research. So I met one of my lecturers from when I was in college and asked her, like, what can I do? And she said, you're a really good science writer, so you should start a blog. Now, this was news to me. I had never in my life thought of myself as a writer. English was my worst subject in school, and I did really bad at it in the Leaving Cert. So the last thing in my mind was for me to become a writer. However, she said I was a good science writer, so I set up a science blog, sciencecalling.com. And that week, it took 2 weeks to write 400-word blog post. And it just went from there. I set myself a goal of writing 1 post a week for a year. And that was because I really didn't think I was a writer. And I was like, okay, I'll try and fool some people. But it went really well. And after 4 months, I was shortlisted for an Aircom Spider, which is a national internet award. And I also got to travel to Berlin and Stockholm for various science conferences. And then after a year, I won the Best Science and Education blog at Blog Awards Ireland. And I was like, there's something at this. This hobby that I had is turning into a career. So I applied for a scholarship to do a master's in journalism at DCU. And I did that last year. And this is me just around this time last year. It was my first print article in the Irish Times on wild boar research. And now I'm a freelance science and health journalist. And this is what I do every day. So I absolutely love my job, and one aspect that I love about it is that I write a lot about science and health policy. And what I think is parallel with a career in research is that I think journalists can somehow change the world a little bit, and I always had this drive to maybe change the world just a tiny bit. And I think that parallels a lot with science, when they maybe want to cure an aspect of a disease or find new knowledge. So that really helps in that way. The other thing is that I get to meet new scientists, hear about research, and because I have a background in science, I really have a good understanding of the research process, so I can understand that. I also, from working in science and also working in industry, I have a good knowledge of data. And data journalism is huge at the moment. And this really appeals to newspapers and other media industries. So that's one aspect. If you do have a background in science or technology, you will come in useful that way. So for emerging writers, what tips do I have? So I would recommend, if you have a degree and you want to be a journalist, consider doing a master's in journalism, because you have a good background in law, ethics, and report writing, and that kind of thing. But the other thing is, if you don't want to spend money or if you don't get the scholarship, set up a blog. And you might think, there's so many blogs on the internet, how would mine get read? But there's always a desire for high quality content. If you put thought into it, it will get read. And also it'll show that you can come up with ideas, and ideas are key for journalism. It's one of the things that a journalist needs. Also apply for science writing competitions, apply to go to conferences, report and tweet on them, and pitch to editors, because if you have a good idea, it might get published. And if you have any questions at all, I'm here for the rest of the afternoon, so just come up and give me a shout. Thanks very much.